From the mind of Mark Yoshimoto Nemkov.
A sunset, a baby's laugh, that first taste of ice cream, the smell of fresh baked bread in the morning. If you look up perfection in the dictionary, you'll most likely find an antique lithograph of any of those images depicted right there on the page. But you can bet your funkin' wagnalls that next year's edition will only have an image of the Neumann MT-48 interface, because to these grizzled old ears, this is voiceover perfection right here. I absolutely love the sound of the Neumann MT-48. What you're listening to right now is just the MT-48. The built-in preamp, the built-in dynamics, the built-in EQ, and that is it. There is no other processing on this sound at all. It's my voice into the U89, into the MT-48, into your ears, and that is it. So let's take a look at what makes this tick. So right over here, right, this is the desktop app, which mirrors what you can do through the touchscreen on the MT-48. So let's take a look at something real quick. Let's start with the preamps. Now, I'm not going to insult you by showing you how to use a preamp, but I mean, this is really simple stuff here. There's really nothing complicated about this. And that's what I love about the MT-48. It's very, very simple. And listen to this preamp. It's super, super clean. Super clean. But there's just a little something on it. It sounds big. There's a little bit of richness to it. So I think it's the combination of the preamp and the converter. But there's like a little dollop of character in there. It's not sterile at all. It's like they put a quarter cup of umami in there. It sounds amazing. I'm not using a plug-in like I usually do. There's no like Neve console or anything in this. I may not use a console strip plug-in again, to be perfectly honest with you. Now, if we look at the dynamics, there's some fun stuff going on here. Now, let me take the dynamics out completely. So this is dynamics on. And by dynamics, I mean gate, compressor, and limiter. So I have all three of those engaged here. But if I take this out, right, you don't really hear a drastic change in tone at all. What you mostly hear is the noise from the gate not being used, but you're not really hearing like a whole lot of difference in tonality, if at all. Now, the compressor is so transparent. If I take the compressor out, you can't hear when I take the compressor out and when I put it back in. I mean, it's just really that transparent. And I have it with a super fast attack and a super fast release because I'm mostly concerned with the onset of transients when I'm doing voiceover. All right, so, and the limiter works amazing. I don't have to tell you. So let's go. Actually, I really want to show you this. The EQ is so cool. There's 4 points on it. 4 points. And again, everything is so simple. The dynamics controls very simple. The EQ, 4 points. And that's all I have here is like a low end roll off, right? I have a little tiny touch of 250, but it's flat here in 250. But sometimes I wake up and my voice is really deep and husky, and there's kind of a little bit of vocal mud down here. So I can dial it down. I can really kind of thin it out a little bit if I need to really quickly by just rolling this back. What I have here is like a 4.5 dB boost at 3.3K, and then we've got here a little touch at like 10.7, really about 11, right? So just a tiny little lift there at 11. And so again, very, very simple controls, very, very simple. If I take the EQ out, you can hear how much the EQ is doing, just these 4 simple points. So I'm loving this thing. And what's really cool about it, I know some of you wanted to know about the fan. So I have the unit on in the booth about 12 hours a day, or more really. And while outside the unit, the case does get warm. It acts as a heat sink. I have not heard the fans kick on once. And I'm in a vocal booth, and I'm like this close. It's very quiet in here. So if the fans were on at all, or if I could hear them at all, I would have noticed it. But there's no fan noise, if the fans are even kicking on. I have it set on low, which is the default. So it's perfect. I mean, really not an issue. And the other thing I heard that people were talking about was touchscreen lag. So I know that there was an issue about possibly some pre-release firmware that was a little laggy on the touchscreen. So here, why don't I do this? I'm going to pull up the camera on my phone, and I'm just gonna take some video real quick of me. Like here, I'll show you. So look. All right, so let me just show you what's going on here. So again, let me just show you how reactive, this is. I mean, it's not slow to react to your touch. Again, these things are happening. These are not big issues here. I don't really see this as an issue where I would where I'd actually be concerned about the touchscreen. You get the idea. I mean, overall, I'm really pleased with it. And they're going to, I mean, they're obviously going to continue to update the firmware. And what I'm hoping is that they include a de-esser, because that would be the chef's kiss on this whole thing for voiceover, is a de-esser. But I am loving this sound. So I just got the thing on Monday last week, and I started using it on work first thing Tuesday. And I did a fair number of commercials with it. And I have to say that I do love the way this thing sounds. It's so clean, it is so big, and it just has that sound. Maybe it's the sound I've been looking for the whole time. I don't know, but what do you think? The Neumann MT-48 interface. This is a big game changer for me. This changes more than I can even tell you at this moment. And we're going to have a lot to talk about in the future, especially when we start talking about other microphones, like the TLM67. So, Nation, you know what to do. Leave a comment. The MT-48 by Neumann. What do you think? All right, let me know. Until next time, this is Mark Yoshimoto Nemkov, fading to black.